I want to take a moment to talk about website speed. When I talk to people about the Elastic Path APIs, I bring up speed a lot of the time and how speed and performance is a feature. Not only is it a feature, but it's one of the most important features out there. And in the e-commerce world, we've known this for a while, as companies did A/B tests showing that there's a direct correlation with site speed and conversion rate. And on top of that, Google now has expectations on site speed and throws that into the ranking algorithms, which makes it even more important for site speed to make sure you're getting the rankings and the traffics from search engines that you'd expect. But I started to think about it and said, what is the limit of this site speed? As we continue to optimize the system, as we continue to add more techniques like better CDN usage and UI techniques so that things change immediately, even as it's calling the API, there's got to be a bound to the point where faster doesn't mean anything. The human brain can only perceive so much so quickly. If you went and changed this video and played it at 2x, you could still probably follow along. But 10x, and it would just whip by and you'd have no idea what's going on. So what are the bounds for a fast website? When have you made it? When is fast enough? Well, here at Elastic Path, we focus on getting all of our API calls, it's an API first product, to be 100 milliseconds or less. In fact, we make guarantees around this. We've set 100 milliseconds as our benchmark that says, hey, if you can respond in 100 milliseconds, that is fast. That is hitting the benchmarks we're looking for. But that number didn't come out of nowhere. Instead, it came out of long-standing user research. That user research shows that there are 3 important limits when it comes to response time. And those 3 are 0.1 second or 100 milliseconds, 1 full second, or 10 seconds. The 100 milliseconds is the point where something feels instantaneous, meaning the user clicked a button, interacted in some way, the screen changed in 100 milliseconds or less, and they thought that they did it. They didn't realize there was any processing. They didn't realize that there was any work going on under the hood. It was just boom, it happened. It was instantaneous. The 1 second is for their users' flow of thought to stay interrupted. So they'll notice the delay at a second. You'll definitely be like, oh, wow, this is taking a while. It's taking a full second. But you don't need to add feedback to the website at 1 second. The user's willing to wait and stay paying attention up to a second and say, okay, something's happening. I just got to wait for it. But then you get to that 10-second mark and you get to this point where the user's really distracted. They don't know whether it worked. They're starting to get concerned. So at that point, that's definitely where you need to add in some type of indicator, some type of spinner, some type of progress bar, something that says, hey, whatever we're doing takes a long time. We know it takes a long time. Here's how you can watch the progress and understand what's happening. So those are our 3 benchmarks. And again, we try and focus on that 100 millisecond, that 0.1 second. Now, these are benchmarks that have been around for a very long time. They're not about to change. But it's also worth noting that they're not cliffs. It's not like you get to 0.11 second and all of a sudden the world explodes and it's not instantaneous. No, it's dependent on each user. It's dependent on a lot of factors that go into it. As you get older, your response time changes. When you're younger, your response time's a little faster. That's why all the best video gamers tend to be younger. So this is more of a graph that, changes over time, that has a percentage of people that fall into every single bucket. And you can test this for yourself by just going and finding a quick reaction time test online. Found one here at humanbenchmark.com. And if I take it, we'll see where I end up. So just got to wait for this blue box to turn green, and then I'm going to click as fast as I possibly can to see what my reaction time is. So there you go. First shot out, I'm at 388 milliseconds. So I can only react in pretty much 400 milliseconds, which is way more than that 100 millisecond threshold. And I thought I was being instant. I thought I was doing it immediately. So So the fact that an API call can happen faster than I can click a mouse is extremely impressive, but it also shows that there is some wiggle room in that response time to make sure everything is fast and responsive. So let me try that one more time. I'm over 400 milliseconds now. Getting worse. So response time is super important in the world of e-commerce, and you need to start at the foundation, which is your software. If your APIs are slow, it's really hard to come back from that. It's really hard to improve it. If you start with fast APIs, then now you can start layering on other techniques to make everything even faster. As I said, you can use a CDN very smartly, which Elastic Path does. We leverage Fastly to push everything out with smart caching. That allows it to be really responsive across the entire globe, not just near the server. Of course, sending things across the world takes some time. The other thing is you can do some tricks on your front end in order to make things respond faster than all of your API calls put together to keep that user engaged. And you can do that with a headless system because you have full control over the front end and you're using modern techniques like transitional apps or single page applications rather than some legacy server rendered HTML where you really have no control over the UI. It's just waiting for the browser to load the page. So all of these things combined together allow for really performant websites and is a main factor on why when people switch from an old legacy monolith into a brand new, modern, cloud-native, composable commerce solution, they see conversion rate increases. Even if the website looks exactly the same, they just replicated what they had, they see conversion rate increases. Even if they take a strangler pattern and start replacing just pieces of their website, they're going to start seeing lifts in conversion rates because those pieces are now faster. They're now more responsive. The user's having a better time and experience when shopping the website. So now you know when it comes to response time, you have these 3 benchmarks to look at: 100 milliseconds, 1 second, and 10 seconds. But of course, remember that it is a curve, and these are benchmarks. These are, good numbers to keep in mind, but they're not the end all be all. They're just ranges for when you should start thinking about your UI and how it's responding and how you're communicating to your end user. And if you want help with that, either improving the website speed for your e-commerce or understanding these benchmarks a little further, please feel free to reach out to Elastic Path or watch some more of our videos. Appreciate your time.